You type youtube.com in your browser. Then you press enter. A few seconds later, YouTube appears on your screen. But behind the scenes, your request goes through multiple steps before it reaches YouTube. It needs to find YouTube, ask for the page, receive the response, and show it on your screen. The OSI model helps us understand those steps. OSI stands for Open Systems Interconnection. Think of it as a blueprint for how computers communicate. It is a model engineers use to understand how information moves through a network. So let's follow one YouTube request from your laptop to YouTube servers and back. Your YouTube request starts at layer 7, the application layer. When you open YouTube, your browser creates a request asking for the YouTube homepage. But before that request can be sent anywhere, your computer first needs to know where YouTube actually is. Computers use IP addresses instead of names. So your device sends a DNS request, and DNS converts youtube.com into an IP address. Think of DNS as the Internet's contact list. You provide a name, DNS gives back the address. Now your computer knows where YouTube is. The request can continue its journey. It moves down to layer 6, the presentation layer. At this point, the request knows where it needs to go. But sending data across the Internet in plain text would be risky. Anyone intercepting the traffic could read it. So before the request leaves your computer, the presentation layer encrypts the data. Now only YouTube can properly understand it. With the data prepared and protected, the request moves to layer 5, the session layer. The request is ready to be sent, but your computer is probably communicating with many applications at the same time. Maybe YouTube is open. Maybe Gmail is open. Maybe a Teams meeting is running. The session layer helps keep these conversations organized, so responses are associated with the correct application. Once the conversation is established, the request moves to layer 4, the transport layer. Now we have a request that knows where it is going, is encrypted, and belongs to the correct session. The next challenge is delivering it reliably. Sending a large request as one giant piece would be risky. If something goes wrong, the whole thing may need to be sent again. So the transport layer breaks the request into smaller pieces that can be delivered and reassembled later. This is where TCP and UDP come into the picture. Think of them as two different delivery methods. TCP focuses on reliability. It checks that the pieces arrive correctly and in the right order. If one piece is missing, TCP can ask for it again. That matters because a web page should not load with missing or broken parts. UDP works differently. It focuses more on speed and does not wait for every confirmation. That is why UDP is often used in video calls and online games, where speed matters more than perfect delivery. Once the request has been split into smaller pieces, those pieces need to find their way across the Internet. That responsibility belongs to layer 3, the network layer. The network layer handles routing across different networks. It uses IP addresses to decide where the request should travel. Routers work here. A router looks at the destination IP address and decides where to send the data next. Routers do not care that you are opening YouTube. They only care where the data needs to go next. That is one of the most important ideas in networking. Now the router knows the next destination, but before the data can be sent to the next device, it needs a way to identify that device on the local network. That is where layer 2, the data link layer, comes in. Layer 2 focuses on local delivery. Its job is to move data from one directly connected device to the next. To do that, it uses MAC addresses. A MAC address is a hardware address used to identify a device on the same network. At this point, all the addressing information has been prepared. The only thing left is to physically transmit the data. So the request moves to layer 1, the physical layer. This is where data becomes real signals. Over Wi-Fi, it travels as radio waves. Through an Ethernet cable, it travels as electrical signals. Through fiber optic cables, it travels as pulses of light. The request has now left your computer and started its physical journey across the Internet. It travels through routers, switches, Internet service providers, and networks around the world, until it eventually reaches YouTube's servers. YouTube receives the request, processes it, and prepares a response. That response contains everything needed to build the YouTube page, including code, images, thumbnails, videos, and account information. Now the journey happens in reverse. As the response moves back up the stack, each layer performs its job again. The physical layer receives the signals. The data link layer handles local delivery. The network layer routes the data. The transport layer reassembles all the pieces in the correct order. The session layer makes sure the response belongs to the correct conversation. The presentation layer decrypts the data. Finally, the application layer hands the information to your browser. Your browser reads the response and turns it into the YouTube page you see on your screen. All of this can happen in milliseconds. So why do engineers care about the OSI model? Imagine a website is not working. When something breaks, the OSI model helps you know where to look. Instead of guessing, engineers can move layer by layer until they find what is broken. If Wi-Fi is off or the cable is unplugged, check the physical layer. If your laptop cannot communicate with your router, check the data link layer. If traffic cannot reach YouTube's network, check the network layer. If the connection keeps timing out, check the transport layer. If YouTube loads but shows an application error, check the application layer. That is why the OSI model is still taught today. It is not just 7 layers to memorize. It is a way to understand what happens after you press enter. And once you understand that journey, networking, cloud computing, and system design start making a lot more sense.